Right, let's dive into it. Low cost, no cost marketing. I have got some notes that I've made here. So if you see me looking down, that is why, as I want to make sure that I share everything with you that I can. If you don't know who I am by now, then check me out on LinkedIn. I've had 30 years experience in corporate life, and now I share everything that I've learned with SMEs, where I specialize in helping them with their marketing plans and their marketing strategy. And then I act like a outsourced marketing department whereby I implement their plans for them. All right, that's the little synopsis. Tip number one for you today is you already know them. Now, these aren't just going to be, that isn't just my tip for low cost, no cost marketing, but this is a little sort of umbrella for you. And I'm going to go into some specific tips. So if you've got a pen and paper, please jot these down. So what do I mean in terms of you already know them? Your customers, your current customers, or your lapsed, your past customers. Have you got yourself a database? Now, a lot of you here will be nodding. Oh, yes, Miles, I've got a database. I've got a CRM, and I communicate with all my customers on a regular basis. Do you? The majority of people that I speak to actually don't. And some people only have their customers and their customers' information on their accounting software. They've never actually communicated with them apart from the specific job that they've done. So I urge you, if you haven't got a CRM system, and that stands for Customer Relationship Management System, there are loads of them out there. Some of them do cost money. Some of them are really quite expensive. But there are free ones, and there are free editions of them out there. I'm not going to mention any in particular, but you can do your searching online for those. And what they will do for you is allow you to collate a database of all of your customers, current and past, and then there'll be some marketing tools within that. There'll be something to allow you to email a newsletter, or just even an email every so often. Keeping up with your current and your lapsed database is so important, because, contrary to popular belief, people aren't always thinking about you. I know I find this hard to believe too. But you never know when someone perhaps has left a business and there's a new account handler, right? So reintroducing yourself and your products and services is extremely important. Maybe what do I put in this email, Miles, and how often do I need to do it? Well, why not just start off by doing it once, right? And see how you get on. Maybe remind people of the products and services that you offer. Maybe share with them some of your members of staff, right? Maybe share with them a customer testimonial. These things don't have to be very long, and you don't have to do them too regularly. Just do them at a pace in which you can handle. Right, tip number one of you already know them is your staff. Okay, don't underestimate how important it is that all of your staff, regardless of their job role, need to understand all of the products and services that you offer. Make sure that you do regular training with all of your staff, regardless as to whether or not it's their field. They should be aware of all of the products and services that your company offers. Let's face it, your staff are probably your most expensive outgoing per month. Well, make sure you get the most of it. I like to say, turn your staff into marketing megaphones, right? Well, the only way you're going to do that is by giving them the information for them to broadcast for you, right? So do some training. Have they got the kit? Sorry, just checking my notes. Have they got the kit? So if they're going out on site, maybe they're an engineer, right? Maybe they're an engineer and they go out on site. Have they got something to leave with the person that they engage with on site? Have you got a brochure or some leaflet in which it will explain all of your products and services? Because maybe the person they're dealing with has no idea that you offer another service that they could utilize. All right, so Don't forget your staff, and your staff also have like a massive network around them, right? So think about when your staff are at a summer barbecue now and they get asked by a complete stranger what it is that they do for a living and who do they work for. Do they have all of the information to hand to be able to share a really positive story? Okay. Now, the third tip of tip number one, you already know them, is local groups, local area, and getting involved. So, is your office based within a trading estate? Have you actually gone door to door or shutter to shutter and introduced yourself to all of the other businesses on the industrial estate? You'll be surprised how many of those other neighbors, if you like, may actually need your products and services, or they may come across someone else that needs your products and services. So make sure that you take away the sort of the mystery, if you like, by sharing with those around you what it is that you do. Maybe you work in you've got an office in a shared office space, and maybe you're a bookkeeper. Yeah. Um, Here's a good example of this. Get yourself out to all of the other offices within your facility and make sure they all know that you're a bookkeeper and that you're in the same office. And all businesses need some form of accountancy, and being that go-to person within your local area is so important. Maybe you have a shop on the high street. Make sure that you get out and meet your neighbors. Not only can this be nice in terms of a community to sort of share information, I don't know, about local shoplifters, but maybe you'll have an incident within your shop and you want someone to come to your aid. If they know you, they're more likely to do that. But also, getting the message out there about all of the products and services that you offer and being the go-to person. Within every high street, there will be a sort of a micro network of businesses. There'll be like a little business network that you can join and be a part of. And failing that, there will be a wider sort of chamber of commerce within your local area that, again, you can get involved with. Wow, I think I've got one more tip for tip number one. You already know them. It's your friends and family. How well have you explained what your products and services are to your friends and family? Now, I feel a bit cringy about doing this, but they're your friends, they're your family, they love you, they like you, right? So there's no better advocate for you and your product than your friends and family. Okay, so I'm not saying that you got to do the big spiel for them, but like make sure that they're up to speed in terms of the products and services that you're offering. All right. Maybe you've got a trusted friend that's been in business a while. Ask them how they get their leads. All right. There's no sort of new thing here. I'm sure that they have faced the same challenges that you have. All right. Whew. We're 12 minutes in. Tip number one. You already know them. Tip number two. Team up. Okay, team up. We're all going to be stronger within a team. Who do you know that has been a good referrer for you? Get a little bit closer to them. Do things together. Find good partners. Maybe this is a supplier. Maybe it's someone you know through a social, through a networking group. One of the biggest referrers for me is business coaches, because they are generalists within their field. And when they need some specialist marketing advice, then I get a phone call saying, hey, one of my clients needs your help, Miles. What about accountants? Most, if not all, businesses are going to have an accountant. They know a lot of people. So maybe in your particular field, getting closer to accountants are going to be good referrers to you. And don't forget your customers, okay? Team up with your customers. Now, yeah, you're going to have some customers that have had a bad experience, right? You can't please all of the people all of the time. But for those that have had a good experience, make sure you give them the tools to shout about you. So think about in your sort of I encourage people to do like a pre-engagement, a post-engagement. So, send them out something when they inquire, then they engage with you. After you've given them the product or service, send them something out post-engagement that perhaps gives them an offer or encourages them to refer a friend, right? Not necessarily a loyalty card, right? But something which is a little bit of an incentive, or it's something visible that they can pass on to a friend to recommend your services. Tip number one of tip number two. You get where this is going. Tip number two with teaming up is join a network. Now we're talking about low cost or no cost. There are one of the good things about lockdown is there are lots of free networking events that you can do online. But a lot of the networking events are low cost. So I mentioned Chamber of Commerce, we've got Women in Business, there'll be trade associations. Think about the Masonic Lodge, think about more sort of community or charity organizations like the Lions Club, Rotary, Round Table, even down to like the parish council or your local PTA. Being part of a wider group is only going to expand your reach. Okay, so teaming up with it is really important. Maybe you can find yourself a buddy on social media, right? So maybe within your niche on the particular platform that you're on, you may come across somebody who is a complementary to what you do. Okay, as an example, maybe you're a paint supplier and you team up with a decorator, and together you could do educational videos about the best way to apply certain paint, as an example, right? So teaming up with people that are within your sphere is really, really important. Now, you'll have all heard on social media about these influencers that get paid a lot of money to, well, I was gonna do some product placement there, but I won't. They get paid a lot. I'm not an influencer. They get paid a lot to demonstrate and feature products within their videos to their audience. But there is such a thing called micro influencers, and these are people that have a smaller following, but they have a following nonetheless. So maybe think about looking at people within your niche, within your genre, your specialty, and reaching out to them and saying, hey, first of all, do you fancy teaming up? Maybe we could do a video about something we've got in common. Or if you sell a particular product, maybe ask them if it's okay to send them some free samples. And then this is the important bit. In my opinion, you can pay, right, for people to promote your products or have some product placement, but I would recommend that you send them something and ask them that if they like your product, you'd be happy to pay them to endorse it. There's a lot of disingenuous endorsements out there, and I think you need to think about what your brand values are and how things align, and don't just sort of pay for exposure, because if it's disingenuous, it will come across disingenuous by the influencer. Okay, so just be a little bit aware about that. If you're an expert in your field, why don't you, I forget which tip two we're on, but if you're an expert in your field, why don't you team up with someone who's got an established podcast or an established YouTube channel and be a guest on their show? The thing is, and I think this is what I want you to understand here, is that people that provide content, they need a lot of content, and this applies not only to the social media space, but also to traditional media, to local television, to radio, to newspapers. Please don't think that all of the traditional mediums are obsolete now or out of your budget or out of your reach, because they're really not. How many times have you been watching breakfast television and there's a specific article and they bring in an expert in the field to talk about that particular feature? Now, they're not paying to be on that television program, but what they've done is in advance, they've contacted the production teams behind it all and made them know that they are an expert in this particular field. And then when they need someone, a guest to come on, then they get a phone call. It's the same with local radio, and I've done this myself. They are absolutely gagging for content for their shows. So contact them, share with them what you do, and you never know, you may actually get a phone call to come and appear on local radio. The same with local newspapers. Please don't forget the local newspapers. You might be lucky enough to get some advertorial, some editorial, but you might have to pay for some advertorial. So a small advert, and then you get a bit of editorial with it. And again, you can be an expert in your field. If you're that much of an expert, you might even get a regular spot. Okay, so don't be shy, team up with people. It is mainly no cost, but generally low cost for you. Deep breath. Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. Tip number 3, shout about it. Now, I don't know how much this resonates with you out there. Maybe let me know in the chat. But even though I've got quite a big mouth, I'm really quite sort of shy and a little bit bashful about promoting myself when I'm with people. But I'm going to remind you to sort of be loud and proud about who you are and the services that you offer. So on the platforms that you're on, especially on social media platforms, and look, let's just talk about social media platforms for a second. You can be on all social media platforms, of course you can, but think about where your target market are. And where your target market are, that is where you should spend your time. Now, I'm going to get on high horse. I get on my high horse about brand awareness. A lot of charlatans, dare I say, will bang on about how important brand awareness. For SMEs, it's bullshit, okay? I'm calling it as bullshit. As far as I'm concerned, you should change one of those words around, and brand awareness should become all about brand engagement. Okay, people just seeing your brand for an instant, they're going to forget you in an instant. But people that actually engage with you on social media, they are much more likely to remember you and then to interact with you in the future. Build those relationships. Don't think about brand awareness, making people aware that you're around there. Make people engage with you. You're far more likely to do business. God, I did get on my high horse there, didn't I? So I'm thinking about, speaking about what you're an expert in. Utilize your social media platforms. Utilize whichever platform your target market are on. My target market are on LinkedIn. So I'm doing LinkedIn Live, right? Maybe you could do the team up thing. Maybe you want to be on not my next LinkedIn Live, because that's about presentation skills, but I've got a spot. I haven't yet decided what's going to happen in May's LinkedIn Live. So maybe we could duet, right? Maybe we could do something together or as a group. Maybe there's a few of you out there that want to jump on and be a part of this. YouTube, utilize YouTube. YouTube is the second biggest search engine out there. So next to Google, YouTube is right up there. So if you've got a really good product and service, then get it onto a good YouTube channel. If you're part of a network, so Women in Business, BNI, whatever your network is, they may well have a feature presentation slot. I would encourage you to take part in the feature presentation and share with everyone exactly what your expertise and what it is that you do. Now, if you're part of a network that doesn't have a feature presentation, well, make your own. You've got those connections, maybe invite all those connections to a LinkedIn Live or to a private Zoom where you share with them in more detail the products and services that you offer. What about the last one, telling your friends and family about what you do in detail? These are the people that love you the most. Okay. These are the people that love you the most. So they are going by default, they're going to be the ones that promote you the most. So just make sure that you've shared properly, in detail, in depth with your nearest and dearest exactly what it is that you do. Breathe. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to do a quick little recap for you. Have you got your pens and papers ready? So the big recap is this. Tip number one, you already know them. Utilize that database of customers. Make sure that your staff have got everything they need to talk about your products and services. Make sure that you utilize the local area around you. Do they know who you are? And again, make sure that you utilize your friend and family connections. Tip number two, so look at your good referrers, look at your suppliers, your customers, maybe do this refer a friend mechanic, look at your networks, maybe find a buddy on social media, look at micro influencers, and look at not only new media like podcasts and YouTube channels, but look at the traditional media, the local TV, the radio, and the newspapers. Tip number three, shout about it. Don't be bashful. Use social media. It's free for the best part. Get the engagement going. Don't sort of be out there to raise awareness. Get engagement. Get customer testimonials. Use LinkedIn Live, and the offer is there. If you fancy joining me live in 2 months' time, then get in touch. You can see my WhatsApp there. Send me a WhatsApp. You utilize your network with presentations, and just basically be a bit more out there about making sure you tell everyone what it is that you do.